recovery, you're moving forward, you're in Suboxone. You may be in the program or you may be a graduate. So what this is about is the price you pay for having a life. As someone once said, if you want to be comfortable, try dead. That's very comfortable. But given that you don't want to go in that direction, then you can expect a lot of discomfort, because that's what the world's like for anybody. And for a recovering person, there's a couple of other problems involved. So here we go. You may have heard of the early life trauma, and we've only been talking about it for 4 years, and possibly you still remember it. Early life trauma gives you flashbacks and other feelings, creates an aura around you, and every time there's a stress, you start to feel very uncomfortable by virtue of the flashbacks that we call invisible flashbacks. So that's what comes back when you get off the opiates, because you're not busy on the street calling your dealer, trying to get money, robbing a bank, whatever you do. You're not busy anymore. So the traumatic stuff is now much more present in your world, particularly if there's a stress. The bank thing was just a little joke. Sorry. Anyway, moving forward is uncomfortable for a number of reasons. Firstly, we did talk about the core myth, your belief that underneath it all you're basically a failure. You weren't in any conflict when you were in opiate land, because there you were a failure, and it wasn't going to get worse, it wasn't going to get better. You were there, and there was no contest. But now you're in the real world, and you're looking for jobs, you're looking for relationships, you're looking to feel good, and there's plenty of ways of failing. So now you're on the tight wire, and you can fall off, and that is scary. And you have to challenge yourself for maybe years of trying to get up there, fall off the horse, get back on again, fall off the horse, get back on again. You haven't had that experience. It was okay being off the horse on the ground on your knees. Got used to it, but now you're trying to move up, and you could fail. And that's going to make you feel like, well, that's what I thought all along. And you don't want to go there. So moving forward is facing things like failure, things like rejection, things like disappointment, things like loss, things like betrayal. You're going to start experiencing tough stuff. You're going to have to learn how to deal with it. But this is what I wanted to talk about in depth, and that was had to do with the core myth. The core myth was, we've talked a lot about these core myths: the failure thing, worthless thing, the unlovable thing, even the doomed thing. You've got this core myth, and it came out of the trauma. And I think there's plenty of tapes that we did on them and how they all came about. Now, what we've been realizing recently in our sessions is that there was somebody in your family that had a similar core myth: mother, father, brother, an uncle, but somebody, a grandmother, somebody who raised you. And if they felt like they were worthless, let's say, then if they're raising you, then they feel that, how could anybody I'm raising be anything other than worthless? So if I'm worthless, this is just another worthless person. We're just there together. I couldn't think that anybody I would be raising would be anything other than worthless, because I'm worthless. So there's a camaraderie there between you and the person that raised you. Let's say it was your mother, who felt worthless, and then assumed that, well, that must mean that you're just going to be worthless too. But it's two peas in the pod. You and mom are together in a world that doesn't want you. This may not be on a conscious level, but very real on a subconscious level. Now what happens, you get into drugs, but it only proves the point that you're worthless, because now you're in drugs and everybody knows people on drugs are worthless, so there's no argument anymore. But then you get the feeling like maybe you don't want to live that life, and you get off the drugs and you want to move forward, and then you find that, well, you're grown up now, you've got a lot of abilities, you've got some talents, you've got some energy, have some wisdom, have some value, and it's beginning to look like you're not worthless, or at least not as worthless as you thought you were. So you like that, you like the opiates, and you'll like self-esteem even more because it feels really good. But there's a problem. The problem is, if it was to your mom and you're not worthless anymore, then mom has got a problem because you're no longer part of the club. She stays in her subconscious mind worthless, and you are leaving. Well, you're growing up. That's what people do. They grow up and they leave. But your mom doesn't have anybody else, and she clings to you. And if you're not worthless, then she can't feel the connection anymore. To mom, who you'd think would be supportive of your moving ahead, is not supportive because she's having abandonment terror on an unconscious level, and she's going to be disapproving, argumentative, negative, demeaning, because she needs you back as the other pea in the pod. She needs you back as worthless. So she reminds you over and over again that you're worthless, and you're going to hear a lot of negativity from the other person because they're being left behind. If they stay worthless, you're moving out of that zone, and there's separation terror. Now, that's half the picture. The other half of the picture is you have separation terror. You and mom have been close together in a world that doesn't want you, a world that thinks you're worthless, and you're moving away from the one person that was in that world with you, that you belong together, and you're moving out of that world. So you have abandonment terror. So it's both of you. So the price you pay for moving forward is you lose the sense of contact with that support person that nurtured and supported you early on, and now you're truly feeling alone, and you don't want to feel alone. So the successes that come by make you uncomfortable. They may raise your self-esteem, but there's something else that nags at you, the abandonment terror. And many people, when they begin to get successful, will relapse because they're not consciously aware of the abandonment terror. But it gnaws at them, and it makes them feel very unstable and unsatisfied, and they gravitate toward relapsing because that puts them back as the two peas in the pod. Even if mom's deceased, it's still that you're part of that world again, and that's the world that you're used to and you're comfortable to. So you're going to face, if you're moving forward, you're going to face this abandonment terror. You're going to get the result of abandonment terror of the people that supported you, that want you back, that are now degrading you so that you'll come back and be part of their society. And you're going to you're in a double bind. If you move forwards, it's at the expense of other people's comfort. Other people then get abandonment terror, you get abandonment terror, and it's a whole other piece of business to deal with this. It's a major problem. So recovery sweeps in a lot of psychological baggage that you need to know about and need to look at, and it's between a rock and a hard place most of the way. So good luck tuning in for more of these tapes, because we are looking under the cover there at the stuff that's in the unconscious mind that will drag us down. And our only weapon against that is a keen awareness of what's going on and a willingness to face the music. So thanks for tuning in, and keep doing that.